All right, guys, I haven't been this excited for a podcast in a very long time. Whether you are a lifelong Sons of Saturday listener, whether you are new, or whether you came across this on the feed randomly and you're like, what the hell is this? We're going to have some fun this afternoon. The goal of today, Robert, Irby, and I, we are going to take one of my favorite movies of all time, which is the 2010 classic Ben Affleck directed The Town. And we are going to compare the characters. We are going to compare the themes. We are going to compare the quotes to college football, the ACC, and Virginia Tech. I have to give a tip of the cap to Bill Simmons. I got this idea. He recently did this with Heat for the NBA season. It's such an amazing bit. It's such an amazing idea. Robert, thrilled that you're here to be doing it with me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled to be here. I love movies. I really enjoy The Town. I love Ben Affleck. I love Jeremy Renner. I love Bill Simmons, and I love you, Billy Ray. So this is just a fantastic pairing here.
So, should we talk about the movie first?
Yeah, I can kind of dive into a recap for those who have not seen it. Though I would definitely recommend watching the movie before you listen to this podcast. But we appreciate
We put
your
it out all
listenership.
week. Pause this podcast and watch The Town. I have been equally surprised by how many people have seen it and how many people have not. Because we put out the assignment on socials this week, and we were like, yo, you need to watch this movie. You will not get the podcast if you don't. To me, it's in my top 3. I was trying to concoct my top 3 here this week. And I think where I settled is Good Will Hunting is always on the list. The Town is always on the list. And right now it's True Romance is in that kind of 2 or 3 spot. But it is fantastic. But I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we open. We open with a group of bank robbers in Boston. Well, I guess we open with opening text talking about how there's a bunch of bank robberies in Charlestown in Boston for some reason. I don't know. Not from there. So, and then we get one of those bank robberies happening, and it's our main group of guys. It's Ben Affleck playing Doug McRae. We've got Jeremy Renner playing Jim Coughlin. And then you've got the other 2 guys whose names escape me. They pull off a robbery. They kidnap the bank manager, who's a woman named Claire. And they basically, to get away from the police, they use her as a hostage, drive away with her, keep her blindfolded, and then drop her off. They come to find out that Claire lives like 2 blocks away from them. And they're afraid that she's going to recognize them if she sees them out in the open. So Doug decides to do a little recon and instead just decides to take her on a date. Still don't know. Just a really, really interesting choice by Doug McRae.
Crazy move.
Without it, we wouldn't have a movie. So all the while, he's got a little on again, off again thing going on with Jim's sister, Krista, played by the lovely but off-maligned Blake Lively. Just, it's peak Blake Lively, man. She is just throwing heaters. And her daughter, Shine, not sure if it's Doug's or not. We really don't know. Yeah, so I mean, he's taking Claire on dates. Jim is figuring out that he's taking Claire on dates and is like, hey, what the hell, man? All the while, they're robbing more banks. And Ben Affleck, Doug McRae, is just trying to live this double life, essentially, of keeping his personal life afloat while also like getting that money and not getting arrested. All the while, he is being hunted by FBI agent Adam Crawley. Is that his name? No.
It was an awful name for him. It was Adam Frawley, but it was played by John Hamm.
He's just John Hamm.
It's a great John Hamm performance.
Right.
Let me just say that too.
I think John Hamm in any movie is just John Hamm in my mind.
Blind in.
Like it's Don Draper. In Mad Men, he's Don Draper. In any other movie, I'm just like, oh, it's John Hamm.
It's like JV Tom Hanks. He's always playing Tom Hanks. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, John Hamm is kind of like, chasing his trail a little bit. Ipso facto, eventually Claire figures out the secret, realizes that she is being, pursued in a romantic sense by her former captor, which she's not thrilled about. And so then Doug's life is kind of falling apart. He wants to get out of the life. He wants to take Claire with him, but she doesn't want any part of it. The life is keeping him drawn in because he's working for Fergie, the florist, who's kind of the uh, overseer of everything. And he basically is like, look, you're either going to work for me or I'm going to kill your girl and probably
Yeah.
you too.
And you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he's kind of stuck. So they pull off one last heist at Fenway Park, where the other two dudes are killed, and then Jim is killed, and then Doug escapes while Claire has the FBI at her house, and Doug leaves John Hamm a note that says, "Go fuck yourself," and that's pretty much the movie. So,
Unbelievable recap.
thank you.
Some thought. I've probably seen, how many times have you seen this movie? I have to go like, I think it's at least 15 or 20 times I've probably seen this movie.
Probably 5 or 6 for me. I think the first time I watched it was when I was in college at Tech, which was 9 years ago. Yeah.
And just unbelievable performances across the entire line. I think Jeremy Renner, this was after the movie that he was defusing bombs, but I feel like he was the perfect person that you could cast here. Honestly, it was perfect casting across the board. Like, I had no idea Blake Lively had this in her bag. We all knew that John Hamm had this in her bag, or had this in his bag. And another one too, Fergie the florist, perfectly cast. And Ben Affleck was kind of in a weird spot in his career, and I think this kind of brought everything back to center stage and made him not a star again, because he was doing these star movies, but this was a really good movie with longevity, not just something that's going to explode in the box office. But again, if you haven't seen it, pause this. It's on HBO. You did just hear all about it, but pause this, go to HBO Max. It's streaming now. And unless you have any other thoughts, we can dive into some of the characters here.
No, yeah, let's do it.
First, Doug McCrae, played by Ben Affleck. My line here is he is a level-headed hero, but he's also a villain. You're rooting for this bad guy to win this movie. Do you have any comps here?
Yes. And so we're comping it to, ACC players, teams, coaches, whomever, just figures. So I'm going to start. I think he's Clemson. He's kind of the star of the show a little bit, morally complex, we'll say. Kind of trying to do the whole, like, kind of living that double life of trying to take the moral high ground, but also like kind of need to get down and dirty in order to win some games. And, eventually running that balance has started to blow up in their face a little bit. And that's kind of where Doug's at, I feel like.
It's interesting because Clemson, when you talk about Clemson, they really kind of were, and I know that Virginia Tech has basically run a PR campaign on this, but they basically kind of were Virginia Tech until they started winning national championships, and now they've taken a back seat. So when you say like blue blood, I never consider Clemson a blue blood, but it's not out of disrespect for Clemson. It's more so recognizing how impressive it is that they were able to put themselves back on the map after that title in the 1980s or whenever. I think that's a really good comp. I think that's a really, really good comp. And also very similar to Dabo and very similar to Clemson in general, they will have to make a decision on what they're going to do moving forward, whether it's use the portal, whether it's find a new coach, and where their priorities rank in the greater ACC. I like that comp.
Yeah. And then next we have Jim. For that one,
I got my Jim, dude.
Yeah. Your description, and I already dropped one F-bomb, so like,
yeah.
This is an
not a
R-rated
kids
movie.
show, guys. Yeah.
This is an R-rated movie, so it's an R-rated podcast.
Yes.
Crazy fuck, but loyal friend, super hothead. I went with Miami. I feel like Miami just as a city, but then just as a program, like absolute chaos at all times. But like, especially this year, when it gets down and dirty, they got it done. You know what I mean? And that hasn't been the norm. But I think if you look at Miami this year, especially, it's chaos, but it's starting to look a little more like controlled chaos.
You mentioned Miami. It's very funny because Jem and Michael Irvin may have been making some purchases from the same person before games or back in the 80s or 90s.
I think they both love Coke and Xbox. I don't know. But
My gem is pretty simple. It's Diego Pavia. The reason that I went with
Hell yeah.
Diego Pavia is he expressed look, he's extremely unlikable. Like, he will do things and you're just like, dude, like, I want to like your character. I want it to work out for your group, but you just do these heinously crazy ass backwards things that, like the way that Diego Pavia carried himself during the Heisman celebration, right?
Mhm.
I think that that's a similarity. And I also think the loyalty is a similarity. Diego Pavia, regardless of how you feel about him, his services were going to be highly sought after by a bunch of schools last year. He remained loyal to Jerry Kill. He remained loyal to Vanderbilt. He remained loyal to that entire program. Clark Lee. It's funny we mentioned Jerry Kill before we mentioned Clark Lee, but that is who I had down for Jim. So I'll go with Diego Pavia.
I like that. I like that.
Mm.
I guess we'll go with his sister next, Krista Coughlin, coked out, super hot, all caps, would, but not marriage material.
So I have two. I'll go ACC first. I mean, it's Fran Brown. Like, Fran Brown,
Ooh.
dude. Like, so fun year one. You're like, this guy's different. This guy's out here calling it what it is. His athletic director is probably like similar to, Krista. I'm sure there were some nights that you all would go out in the town and she's hammered and she's crying on the sidewalk and, she's yelling at people as they're passing by. And as the athletic director, you're trying to grab Krista, you're trying to grab Fran Brown. And it's like, yo, can you stop talking so explicitly about some of the crazy things about college football? And he's just going to do it anyway. And I think that there's some impending doom that is going to happen. I don't see Fran Brown and Syracuse riding off into the sunset together 15 or 20 years from now. So I went with Fran Brown. Pretty
I
proud
like
of that
that.
one.
I like that. I think there's two. If it was like today as a program, I think it's SMU because I think that the uniforms are sexy, right? Like, all of it looks so good. But then when it comes down to it, like, they have shot themselves in the foot
Yep.
like every year.
Yep.
And, at this point, it's just a lot of window dressing with not much substance. But man, does it look good. And then I thought about this is a deep pull, but Will Healy, the old the Charlotte Club Lit guy who could not coach a lick of football, but man, he had them boys going for about 18 months with vibes.
I got two more for you. I love that deep cut. Two more, and these are both people that you would think that you would find out are dating Krista Coughlin. Number one, I'll go with Bobby Petrino. He will come in, score a ton of points for your offense, and just kind of bounce out, right? And he wants so bad to be the guy. He wanted so bad for Doug to take him as their number one. Petrino wanted so bad for Arkansas to give him the head coaching job. And no, he's going to UNC to coach with Bill Belichick. So that's number one. Number two, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, good, objectively good looking guy. Fun for a while, right? Ole Miss was sleeping with Lane for a little bit. Lane was probably sleeping with Ole Miss too, allegedly. And then he moved on. He moved on to LSU. And I'm telling you what, that's probably not going to end in 15 years with a happy divorce. So I'll go with Lane Kiffin. I'll go with Fran Brown.
Yeah, he's just leaving the kid with you, though. Like, he's not taking
Correct.
Shine with him. You are
No.
Shine's full-time parent.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome. Claire Kesey, the last names in this movie were crazy.
Tough.
Soft on the outside, lion-hearted, and loyal on the inside. It's UVA. It is UVA football in 2025. And I say this, and this is a preface to me I'm going to talk a lot about how I think Claire is an absolutely terrible character and just a horrible decision maker. But kind of just has that soft, gentle nature, really not much bite to that bark. I think it's UVA football.
Wow. That's a good pull. I didn't have a name for this one. Soft on the outside, lion-hearted, and loyal on the inside. I think soft is the wrong word for Brent Key, because I love Brent Key, but he's soft-spoken publicly, but you can tell that he's lion-hearted and loyal on the inside. I don't know if I would label Brent Key as a bad decision maker. So I think UVA is a really good fit there. What do we
Yeah,
got
see, that
for
might be a
Adam?
different.
Mhm.
Well, I was just gonna say that might be a different interpretation of. We might have different opinions of Claire as a character, and that might be
That's
leading to the
true.
issue there.
That's true.
John Hamm, John,
Hmm.
John Hamm.
Just call him John Man.
I have Greg Sankey. He is absolutely hunt. If our crew is the ACC, he is hunting us down. He wants to kill and he wants to be the one to tell us to go fuck ourselves. You know what I mean?
That is so true. And the other comparison too is there are some times where John Hamm seems like he's trying to get in a pissing contest and getting in a pissing contest in situations where he really doesn't have the
100%.
right to get in the pissing contest. Some of the scenes with Ham and Affleck are fantastic. And Ham tries to have the best line in the scene and never quite leaves with it, even in the interrogation scene. So I love that comp. That's a good one, Greg Sankey.
Okay.
Very good.
Did you have one for John Hamm?
I did not. I can't beat that one, but I do have
That's
one
okay.
for Fergie the Flower Man.
I want to hear that.
Who, I mean, this is Pat Narduzzi. It's got to be Pat Narduzzi. Old, grumpy, super grumpy, and kind of just lives in Pitt, has kind of like a false sense of security, right? And flies off the handle sometimes. I also feel like Pat Narduzzi, if he got in an argument with somebody, would definitely say the meanest thing. Like, kind of, if you get in an argument with your wife or your girlfriend or your brother, and then they pull out
Yeah,
the,
those are the
yeah, well,
three.
remember that? Yeah, it's like, remember that time you shit your pants in front of everybody? And you're like, dude, why would you even go there? Like, we're talking about what flight out of Charlotte we're going to take for our vacation to San Diego. Like, why are
I'm
we
just trying to
getting
go
in this
home, and
kind
you're
of
talking about
argument?
clipping my
Eh,
nuts. Like, come on, man.
yeah, so
Okay.
I feel like Fergie and Pat Narduzzi go hand in hand.
I like that. I thought of it more as like, Fergie being more of kind of like the mob boss that you're kind of like stuck under his thumb. And so I have Jimmy Pitaro, the president of ESPN,
Nice.
because like the ACC guy, they are stuck under this guy's thumb because he is getting all their games. He's paying nothing for these games, to televise these games, and they are stuck for years.
Crazy how many prestigious universities with great athletic departments are just being absolutely, their future is being completely course corrected by the worldwide leader. Next segment, the movie stuff. So we're going to talk about a scene, we're going to talk about a theme, we're going to talk about motifs. I got to tell you, we're 17 minutes and I'm having so much fun. I'm like a pig
But
in
yeah,
shit.
same here. I think it's only going to turn up from here.
Opening heist. Jen beating the hell out of the old guy. An unnecessary and brutal beatdown. So here's what we'll do. We'll go back and forth. If you have multiple, we'll go back and forth. I'll go first. North Carolina versus TCU, Monday, September 1st.
Damn it, dude. That was mine.
It was the last game of week one, first game of the year. Bill Belichick 7-0. I think Coach Holmes and I were in our group chat because I was in on the Belichick train. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
get ready to learn Bill Belichick college football. And he comes out, marches down the field, and you're just like, wow, Bill Belichick is literally Paul Bear Bryant. They
Mhm.
proceeded to lose the game 48-7. It was one of those situations because in the opening heist scene, this old guy is kind of just laying there and he's like, nobody said anything. What's the problem? And Jem just like butt whips him with a gun. And that's what it seemed like watching that game. I mean, the beginning of the game, you got the crowd shots. There's Michael Jordan there. There's Julius Peppers there. There's Lawrence Taylor there. And it's just touchdown, 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 touchdown. And TCU, is one of those programs that has 15 memes loaded up for when they win the game. And they just absolutely crucified North Carolina on social media after that. So that's the first one that I have.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback, probably put like half of that game on his highlight reel that he sent to Indiana when he's transferring to Indiana now. That's like the best game he played of his life.
For sure.
No, that's good. I think, dang, that was the only one I had. So I'm going to pull another one out off the dome. But Old Dominion beating the living shit out of Virginia Tech, I think, probably, and ending the Brent Pry era. That is, that's a beatdown right there.
I have that one later on. The second one that I went with was some of these Syracuse results this year. Uh,
Just any of them.
and to yeah, like I wrote some of them down. And granted, their quarterback got hurt. I get it. 38-3 versus Duke at home, 41-16 at Georgia Tech, 27-10. North Carolina comes into your building and beats you by
That's
multiple
bad.
scores. And then the last two, which are probably the worst, 70-7 at Notre Dame, which was a beatdown of ever proportions. That game alone probably could have been its own one for this one. And then 34-12 to a really bad Boston College team. So it's kind of hard to put into words how bad this last season was for Syracuse. I'm actually shocked that Syracuse beat UConn in week 2, looking back at kind of the totality of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think those last two you mentioned, especially, at least one of those, they had a true freshman walk-on lacrosse player playing quarterback for them.
And that can't be your situation. Like that can't be your situation. Like everyone could be like, they got a lacrosse player quoting quarterback. And it's like, that's not what we should be saying. What we should be saying is, why is that your second string quarterback? That
Right.
should be the question. Okay, so the next one we have Jem running into Doug when he's on a date with Claire. Almost ruined everything for everyone award. This one was really simple. Go ahead, Rob. I went first last time.
Okay, I have the Florida State, Clemson, and ACC lawsuit. I think that just muddied the waters a lot for everybody. I know what they were trying to accomplish, what Florida State and Clemson were trying to accomplish. And, I guess to some degree they accomplished their goal, but realistically all they did was cost their athletic departments more money and create even less goodwill among the members.
Unintended outcome. It actually ended up working out well for the rest of the league.
That's true.
I think it ended up benefiting the rest of the league and not Clemson and not Florida State, which is kind of the most hilarious result. So I think that's pretty funny. I'm glad we went in different directions here. I have either the ACC commissioner's office or the ACC teams almost allowing UVA to take the playoff spot away from Miami. So some of these results here. The ACC having UVA play NC State in week 2 and the game not being counted as an ACC game, which we have seen happen multiple times, and it's crazy that that's allowed, but it continues to happen. Wake Forest has had this a couple times. Florida State in 2 overtimes. I also had another call out here. The Florida State wide receiver and the defensive back for UVA actually ended up like Jem in the headshot video at the end of the movie. Like that was the most carnage film you could possibly see. I was worried for their safety when that happened. Then you had Louisville losing at home to a dinged up Chandler Morris, which was ridiculous. Washington State being up 20-10 with less than 10 minutes left in that football game. Carolina losing on the last play when they went for 2. And then Duke, thank goodness, coming through at the end and getting Miami into the college football playoff. So no shout out to you, ACC, for almost allowing that would have been hideous again, I'm not taking anything away from Virginia, but a very bad scenario for the ACC is Virginia going to play Texas A&M in College Station. That would not have been a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, you could even just say, like, honestly, I would even just say the ACC tiebreaker system. Like the fact that Miami was tied with Duke, was ranked like number 10 or whatever, and Duke was 7-5 and had lost to UConn and Tulane and made it to the ACC championship game, And again, they came through, but like, yeah, it was almost a big mess. That's a good call.
All right, so the next one we have here is the Boston helicopter shot for most overused video or overdone thing in the game award. I think you're gonna love this one.
Honestly, I think there's a very obvious answer, and it's gonna piss people off, but I gotta say it. It's Enter Sandman on primetime TV. That's it. I mean, we don't need to be playing Old Dominion week 3 when we're 0-2 at 8 o'clock so you can engagement farm with another Enter Sandman clip. You know what I mean?
Well, I would say this. I'm glad that we're getting that TV preferentialness But the two clips that are the most mainstream are not the ones that are the most epic. The best one is the Miami Logan Thomas touchdown, and that one has
Yes.
taken a backseat to 2023 Pittsburgh and 2019 UNC games, which are posted every day. And the most hilarious thing about it is both of those teams went 6-6. So, I mean, I think that's something. But I went in a different direction here. Imagine Dragons as ESPN's hype song artist. 2017 was Whatever It Takes. 2020 was Natural. 2022 was Enemy. 2024 was Believer. 2026. So they went 3 years, 1 year, 2 more and then off. 1 year, 1 year off, 1 year on, 1 year off, 1 year on. So 2026 hypothetically should be an Imagine Dragons song for the ESPN hype song on the commercial. So how about that poll, Rob?
Dude, I
How about
did
that
not
poll?
realize they'd done it that many times. That's so funny.
I didn't either.
I
Well,
knew
I
Jelly Roll
actually
did it
pulled that
last
one
year,
out.
but wow.
Mhm. I
That's
actually
crazy.
pulled that one out like right before because I was, of course, I'd watched the 2017 highlight of like Clemson and Virginia Tech playing each other. Wherever it takes. And I was like, wait, I feel like Imagine Dragons has been the song at least twice. I had no idea it was 1, 2, 3, 4 times
That's so
since
funny.
2017.
That might be
So,
their entire career at this point.
yes, it might be. The next one here, which ACC coach would make the best stepfather for Shine? So for those who don't know, Shine is Krista's step or son. No idea who, or daughter, no idea who the dad is. So if we were to adopt a coach or player or team as the father, who would it be?
I mean, you got to say it in the accent, right? It's Shine.
Shine. Shine.
I went with probably what Shine needs in her life is a little bit of stability, probably a lot of stability. Maybe just a strong hand that you can rely on. And that is Dave Dorn.
Wow.
Dave Dorn, he is not the flashiest coach. He might not even be a good coach, but he is somehow the winningest coach in NC State's history because that guy just 7-5 every time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Shine doesn't need anything flashy. You know what I mean? Like she just needs something reliable. And say this about Dave Dorn: when it's time to throw down, he'll throw down. You know, like when Krista's shouting, at the wrong lady at the wrong bar, and
Yes.
her buff boyfriend shows up, Dave will throw down.
That is a fact. So I actually had another coach from the Carolinas who probably will have some additional time on his hands here pretty soon. I went with Dabo.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to say Bill Belichick.
No. I went with Dabo. Honest, probably needs to take something else up. I think that he really cares about the right lessons and all of the things that college football used to be about. So I went with him. And then as a bonus, I did worst options to be Shine's stepfather, and I have 3. Bill Belichick and Jordan were on that list because there would be just so much engagement farming. I'm thinking like Michael Jackson hanging the baby over the ledge. I'm thinking like
Like
Get
Moses
Ready with Me.
in the basket getting pulled out of
Yes.
the river.
Yes. I'm thinking holding it over the press box. I'm thinking Get Ready with Me with the baby to go to a Tar Heels game. It would just not be good. I also had Sharon Moore as worst stepfather for Shine. So yeah, those were my worst options for Shine's stepdad. Okay.
That's really good.
The Doug McRae Gaslighting Award for Most Ridiculous Lies Told. I'll go first because we already covered this. Florida State saying that they needed to exit the ACC because they were leagues above everyone else in their conference. In 2023, they go 13-1, miss the playoff, have this tremendous bitch fit that we all watched. I mean, I watched the entire Board of Visitors meeting. And then since then, they went 3-13 in the ACC and 7-17 overall. So they've sucked copious amounts of ass since doing that. So I'm going to go with Florida State.
I'm going with the UNC Bill Belichick experience. I think I mean the lies are pretty simple, right? Like they're bringing in the arguably the best NFL coach of all time to coach their college football program. Oh, this should be
Mm-hmm.
great. They'll be great, etc. No, it's just a horrible fit.
I have a couple more here. Um, the first one that I'll do is the entire Virginia Tech versus South Carolina game. I'll say that because the first South Carolina drive was 7 plays, 75 yards, and a touchdown. And I said, oh, South Carolina is going to win the national title. They very much did not. And then when the game ends, you look back at the score and you're like, hey, we'll be pretty good. I mean, we played well on defense, aside from a punt return touchdown and a crazy catch by Harbor. Like, we hung in there against South Carolina. They're ranked 13th in the country. Both teams just ended up being really, really bad. So I thought that was a lie told game. And then the other one that I'm going to go with, I'm going to take a little bit of a victory lap myself. Carson Beck sucks, is what so many people said coming into the year. Carson Beck was 24-3 as a starter at Georgia. And since 2023, here were his numbers. 24-6 touchdown interception ratio, 28-12 touchdown interception ratio. And then at Miami in 2025, he goes 30-12. He's top 10 in QBR and 4th in yards in college football. So, yeah, as soon as he moved over to Miami, I was like, you know what? If they can basically just not lose games at the end of the season or at the end of the clock, Carson Beck's going to be good enough to be one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. And I have a hard time saying that he isn't, at worst, one of the two best quarterbacks in what was supposed to be a very good ACC at the quarterback position last year.
No, yeah, I mean that's fair. The interceptions are always like his bugaboo. You know, he had
They come at the worst times. Yeah.
right. He had 4 of them against SMU, I think. Which one of their losses he had 0 touchdowns and 4 picks. But like other than a couple blowups, he was ultimately pretty good.
Yes. Next one. Jeremy Renner Award for Best Breakout Performance.
Yeah, and I want to add a little context to this just as a movie lover. Like Jeremy Renner, we know what he is now, and he's like pretty close to an A-lister, I would say. But like he was really a relatively unknown. He kind of had this 2-movie stretch. Like this was the second of 2. You mentioned the other one, it's The Hurt Locker, and he was nominated for Oscars for both movies. He didn't win either of them, but was nominated for both. That's a huge accolade. He was like basically a TV actor before that. And, from The Town on, he has transformed into like just a top tier action star. He was in the Mission Impossible movies. He did the Jason Bourne remake. Obviously was Marvel, Hawkeye. Like that's been his whole thing. Like the star that we know as Jeremy Renner was not that when he was cast in 2010.
Correct.
So for that award, I gave it to Miami, but specifically Miami in the college football playoff. Because I mean, I don't think anyone expected them to go as far as they did, right? I mean, they came in as the 10. It was already controversial, them jumping Notre Dame, this, that, and a third, whatever. They had lost a couple games that they shouldn't have lost. They didn't even make the ACC championship. And then boom, the path that they took to get there, winning in College Station, beating Ohio State, was it Georgia?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, yes, thank you, sorry. And yeah, winning 3 enormous games. I don't think anybody saw it coming, and looking forward now, we're viewing Miami with a very different lens.
It's so funny you say that because you took Miami in the playoff. I took Mario Cristobal's coaching ability. Like, you lose 2 close games, but to good teams, right? And then you have 1-score wins against Notre Dame in week 1, which as soon as they won that game, I think everybody was like, I can't wait for them to lose to Pitt in November, or I can't wait for them to lose to Virginia Tech in November, not because they're better teams, but because that's just what Miami does. He also beat a Florida State team before we all knew they sucked. one-score win at Texas A&M, one-score win against Ole Miss, and played really, really well against Indiana. They probably played as well against Indiana as anybody but maybe Penn State. So, I mean, look, I have dunked on Mario Cristobal a lot, and a lot of it's warranted. There are multiple losses on Miami's resume over the last couple of years, but strictly that have come from coaching decisions. So I will give that to Mario Cristobal.
Love that. Love that.
Blake Lively should have won an Oscar award for most underrated player or team. I am going to go with Wake Forest. And I am going with Wake Forest because this was a Jake Dickert masterclass in year one. And the thing that makes it even so much more impressive is that he did it with Robbie Ashford. Robbie Ashford, and nothing against Robbie Ashford at all, but I mean, it's kind of like a tragic Bronson situation. Like every time you've seen him before this year, it's like, man, this guy just has been everywhere and has done nothing. And, I can't believe he continues to win with him. So I'm wondering, as to take this comparison even farther, is Robbie Ashford basically the methed out, awful Blake Lively Boston accent that held him back a little bit, and he was still that impressive. So that's what I went with this award.
Yeah, no, that's a deep way to put it. Because I also had Wake, and I think really my thought was like they went 8-4, and like nobody cared, and like that is truly phenomenal. Like if you just consider where they were, I think as far as players go, I had two in mind. The first one is Darian Mensah. And the reason I say that is like now he's a big story. But at the time, like I don't think people really realized how good he was until this transfer thing became a thing. But like, he finished second in the country in passing yards. Like his touchdown interception splits were incredible. Duke lost some games they shouldn't have, but Mensah was largely pretty good. And then the other one is Kevin Jennings.
The one thing I want to, before you get to Kevin Jennings, the one thing that I want to say is I don't think there's a team that was more damaged. That was a good team. Like Duke was a good team last year. I think the fact that they couldn't find a way to win both of or one of Tulane versus Illinois kind of turned everybody off to Duke. Because Duke was kind of one of those teams that people are like, hey, they're going to be pretty good. Like, I think Manny Diaz has done a good job. Their defense is going to be solid. They have Darian Mensah. And then Darian Mensah loses to the team that he transferred from. I think a lot of people just kind of were like, I'm not paying attention to you anymore. And then they end up in the ACC championship, win the ACC championship. So I think the beginning of the year kind of hurt their overall television and viewership stock.
No, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but with Kevin Jennings, I think, he definitely did not have, he was bad against Wake, and they lost that game 13-12, and ultimately that's a game they should have won. But, he was battling injuries all year and was really, really good in 2024. And you compare his stats, they're not that different. And I think SMU was just the brand new thing in year one, and he was kind of the engine of that. And he pretty much stayed the same. His defense just wasn't as great, and the execution was just not as sound across the board. And like he's kind of flown under the radar. I still think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the conference right now.
This next segment is called Matt Damon making We Bought a Zoo and True Grit Instead award for biggest blown opportunity. Can you, for the listeners, shine a little light on this one? This is a bit of a deep cut.
Yeah, I mean, go look at Matt Damon's filmography in 2010 and 2011, and it is absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Just what was he working on? I don't know. And I know that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are best friends, obviously, and Affleck has been on record before of saying, oh, well, Matt was too expensive. We couldn't have pulled it off. Like, okay, but like, y'all are best friends. You know what I mean?
If
like,
you wanted to do it, you would have done it.
Do your boy a solid. Yeah. And he's trying to, Ben Affleck was trying to revive his career at that point. Like, help your boy out. Instead, you're second to Jeff Bridges in a remake of a John Wayne movie and making a family comedy about a zoo. Matt Damon's had a great career, but that was a rough stretch for our boy.
I have UVA having a scheduled merchant season, playing again against Duke in the ACC championship with a 30-year-old quarterback. not winning the league, not going to the playoff, and not collecting the money that you would have got for going to the playoff. I'm really not trying to dunk on them. It's just like it was such a Cinderella season, and you got to the mountaintop. You beat Virginia Tech. You go to the ACC championship. You are, in my opinion, the better team than Duke, and that is a multiple million. That's a tens of millions of dollars loss. Is the reality of it. Even if you go to A&M and you get blown out. So
For sure, yeah. I mean, they would have gotten like 14 million just for playing in the game, but no,
yep.
that's really good. Especially UVA had just like all of everything lined up perfectly for them. It's funny that I just spent this time praising Kevin Jennings because I actually have SMU losing to Cal on here. Because
Good
SMU
one.
was like in the driver's seat, leading with like 2 minutes to go. ACC championship appearance right in front of them, and they blew it. Both like just letting JKS drive straight down the field to take the lead and then missing the field goal as time expired. I remember there being some clock management snafus in there as well. So yeah, that was a tough break.
John Hamm, Blake Lively's Boston accent, cringiest fraud or cosplaying attempt award. What do you got?
I have Duke winning the ACC championship. And,
Okay.
as much as they earned that win in particular in that game, they had no business being in the game. And I mean, like we said, they went 7-5 and made it over Miami, who made the college football playoff. Like, that's just crazy. We don't need to rehash it, but yeah.
They lost to UConn and they lost to Tulane.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
They lost 2 G5 games.
Well, one G5 team did go to the college football playoff. This one's too easy. It's Brian Kelly's Louisiana accent. I have that one on there. And then I also have look, I have no problems with either of them. And I really like one of them. Jimbo Fisher and Mark Richt on the ACC network is just weird. Like it's just odd to me. Like Mark Richt was at Miami for 2 seasons, and he's been on this show forever. I don't think of Mark Richt as an ACC person. I'm never going to think of Mark Richt as an ACC person. I just think it's odd. I think it's a little bit of a cosplay award. And then Jimbo Fisher is a little bit different. I really don't think of Jimbo Fisher as being associated with any conference. It just seems very much like Doc Rivers going to the Ringer as a kind of a hat tip to Bill Simmons. It just feels weird. I think he's waiting for the next job. I think Pat called this out on one of our podcasts, or it might have been Pete, that it sounds like he's speaking into a tin can. Like he's just kind of in his like office with his phone set up, no microphone, no nothing. And they're asking him, Coach, what do you think about this? He's like, well, here's what I think. And it's just like, I don't know. It's
Dude,
not
that was really good.
Yeah, it's just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, at least Rick, you can say like, all right, well, he played at Miami, but even then, they weren't in the ACC when he played. But yeah, no, Jimbo has like publicly eviscerated the ACC, like while he was at A&M, just talking about how much better the SEC is. So tough look to have him on your network. Yeah.
Jem beating up Doug at the graveyard, which is one of the weirder scenes in the movie because honestly, as tough as Jem is, like, how is he beating the hell out of Ben Affleck? And Ryan Russillo in the Rewatchables appropriately pointed out that sometimes the angrier man wins.
Yes.
That is, I think, how that ended up happening.
Honestly, I'm gonna litigate this a little bit because,
Sure.
I just watched it. I had that thought in mind, and what Doug does, he's a hockey player, he's a fighter. He grabs the jacket, pulls it over his head, and I don't think he's trying to hurt Jim. I think he's trying to,
mush him,
push him. Yeah, just diffuse the situation, and then Jim pulls out a pistol and whips him in the face.
Yeah. in typical Jem fashion. He's like, "Whoa, calm down!" Pistol whip to the face. That's funny. So for this one, not to be pain biased, but how is this not Old Dominion beating Virginia Tech 3 times? 2018, 49-35 in Norfolk. 2022, 20-17 in Norfolk, and 2025, 45-26 in Blacksburg. Of the 3, too, like this last one was the worst one. Like I think objectively speaking, like there is no one worse than that one, really. I mean, it's gotten to the point where my algorithm it hates me so much that, and I follow them, but it was just crazy that this is the first tweet I've seen from the wild. The ODU Monarchists tweeted that their tennis team beat our tennis team, and it was like, we continue to own Virginia Tech, and it's just like there's just
What can you even
no
say to that?
anything.
Yeah.
What can you do? You know, it's just kind of take it on the chin.
God, that sucks. I put Georgia Tech losing by 2 touchdowns to Pitt this year,
Good
another team that
one.
blew a shot at the ACC championship, and I think they were down by a lot more. They kind of made a comeback to make it interesting.
They're getting
but
crushed.
yeah, they were getting crushed. So that was it for me.
Good callback. That's when they were still in the running for the ACC. And quite honestly, when Haynes King was like flirting with Heisman odds, he was never like top 5, but he was always in that like 8 to 12 range. They shot up. I did place a Haynes King future as they were lining up to kick the game-winning field goal against Clemson. So I felt pretty good about that. I probably would have made that bet again because they shot up pretty significantly.
It was great value.
So this one was funny. You just put in something about Doug absolutely blowing his shot at the NHL. And at first when I read this, I was like, I mean, what the hell do you want me to do with this? But I actually was able to come up with 3.
Yeah, it's just a squandered opportunity.
The first one I'll give you is Carson Beck. Carson Beck, I know we just praised him, but he lost 6 games in his college career. This comes from David Hale. He lost 6 games in his college career, and in 4 of them, the final offensive play was a Beck interception with a chance to win the game. That's crazy.
Yikes.
Like that is a wild statistic.
Yeah, talk about a what if. Good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
For mine, I had Cade Klubnik.
Yeah.
This is a guy who, if you looked at preseason mock drafts, he was listed in the first round, some even like a top 5 pick. Some people had him going number 1 off the board. Now, granted, I can also dump Drew Aller into this category, or Lenore Sellers, or pretty much any quarterback who scouts were high on coming into the season. But yeah, you had your chance at the NFL and you pretty much blew it.
I also have here the Hokies passing on the SEC in 2007 or whatever year that was.
Oh,
I think because it was so far back, and it's just like, how different is your life if you're not you're not losing to ODU at home if you're in the SEC and you have SEC money. At least we don't think so. And then I also have the one where it's like, wait, how did we not learn more about this? This is just like a story floating in the background. Can you imagine explaining to your kids, well, in your case now, or me, whenever that day comes, that the ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 were in an alliance once? They all like had this Zoom meeting and they talked about how it's us versus the SEC. Like, I think it's kind of odd. So I went with that one.
Within like weeks, the Big Ten just eviscerates the Pac-12, just gives them the finger.
Correct.
And then the ACC does that too. It was
correct.
Chaos.
Claire Kesey, Stockholm Syndrome. So Claire basically just ignoring all of the red flags, and this is the which fan base is most in love with a team/coach that emotionally abuses them award.
Yes, and if you don't know what Stockholm Syndrome is, it's basically the condition where someone who's being held captive falls in love with their captor. And so Claire is a good example of that because she quite literally fell in love with the dude that had kidnapped her previously. I've got 2 for it. Virginia Tech. I mean, we continue to support. We continue to go to football games, and prior to hiring James Franklin, they just spat in our faces. And same goes to Florida State, I think, because they have stayed loyal through all this. But aside from the 13-1 season, Florida State football has been a mess for really since Jimbo left.
I like those 2. I went one ACC and one outside the ACC. I'll go with the ACC first. And these are 2 coaches that I like. This one is not Jeff Brom specific, but how many more seasons of This Is Louisville's Year are we going to go into and watch them absolutely piss it away? So in 2023, they lost their last 3 games to Kentucky, Florida State, and USC. In 2024, they inexplicably lose to Stanford. Like, Louisville's going to the ACC championship and they lose that game to Stanford. Granted, it was in California, but still, like, when they beat the hell out of us in 2024, you're like, oh, this team's gonna play in the ACC championship. They might win the ACC championship, and they lose that game. And then in 2025, this past season, 3 L's in a row in November. You lose to Cal, you lose to Clemson, you lose to SMU, all at home. They played all of those games at home and lost. So I'm going to go with that one. Again, this is not Jeff Brom specific because I think Jeff Brom is a really good coach. It's more so like I feel like we talk about Louisville as the hot team that nobody's talking about, and it never comes to fruition. So the other one that I have here is Deion Sanders, and I think I might be the one that has Stockholm syndrome.
Might be Colorado.
He's 16-21 in his tenure. That includes a 9-win season. I can 100% see like a mid-season or end-of-season exit here. I understand how difficult of a job Colorado is. I think for what Colorado was trying to accomplish by hiring Deion Sanders has been accomplished. Like, nobody was thinking about Colorado at all, and now everybody is thinking about Colorado. But we're approaching that point where it's like, okay, like, how does this end? And I think it's going to end with, and I know he does have health problems, but I can totally see him being like 0-5 next year and being like, I'm out. I'm going to go do NFL Network again, which is actually absolvent. So probably not that.
Yeah.
I have one
true.
more. I have one more. The players and the fans of college football saying that players should be paid. You begged for this. You asked for this. The fans hate the situation with Darren Peterson. You watch a Darren Peterson and it's like, man, this guy's getting paid millions of dollars. Can he not play basketball? You did this. And then the players who begged to be played, you have a situation like Arch Manning, who really has done nothing wrong, model citizen, playing maybe not as good as he was supposed to be yet. And he's kind of a casualty of this players getting paid situation. So I think it's fair to say that everybody was in love with this idea of paying players, and now you're getting the result of paying players. You can blame the rollout, you can blame the NCAA, you can do whatever you want, but as long as the Saturdays are still good, that's fantastic. But the overall, like, reporting and the overall news cycle and the overall vibes that you get out of college football when the games aren't being played are awful. And that's why we are there, is because of that. So
yeah,
I'll go with that one.
No, I mean, I remember like specifically being in Lane Stadium at the end of the first half against Cal and like seeing Kyron Drones like kind of walk off the field, and it was a really bad half for our whole team. Or seeing like Cam Seldon go out of bounds on a kickoff at the 1-yard line and be like,
yep,
if I had the money those guys had, would change my life.
Yeah,
but I think
it sucks that that's where the conversation has gone, but it has. It's changed. Man.
Yeah, and it's sports as a whole, right? Like Jimbo Fisher gets paid the same amount of money that we were going to spend on Castle Coliseum to leave.
Yeah.
So
I didn't have one for this next one, but the nun costumes for best uniforms.
Best uniforms, yeah. And I think these are the best uniforms in college football, and they only wear them once a year, but it's the Clemson purple.
Great.
Think that those purple jerseys especially are just gorgeous. It is the right shade of purple, the white numbers, just good contrast with that little orange trim. It's just perfect, man.
And purple is usually a color that needs to be an accent, and when it's accented, it looks great. Mm-hmm. But no, that is a really, really good call out. I guess just off the top of my head, I'm a sucker for the Ole Miss powder blue uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
I know that it seems like UNC kind of invented powder blue, but the powder blue mixed with the accent of like the metallic red in the Ole Miss uniforms, I think is just exquisite. I'll also call out Tulane's Bourbon Street uniforms that they wore. I thought those were pretty cool too.
Or just anything Tulane puts out at this point.
Correct. All right, so the quotes and the moments. We'll do some bad impersonations of this. So, I mean, the quote of the movie, maybe the quote of our lifetimes, "Whose car we taking?" by Jem. I went with Fernando Mendoza going from Cal to Indiana, and I went with it because I think Doug and Jem are so different, And honestly, Sig and Fernando are so different, but they have some really good sort of yin and yang. Um, and you would have never thought that Fernando Mendoza, the dude who like basically was crying when they beat, I think, Stanford or some California team on the field, and when he was a Cal, would go play for Indiana and much less win a national championship at Indiana. So I couldn't think of a more like badass story. I mean, we'll be talking about in this. Everybody wants to do like the who's the next Indiana. There's not going to be another Indiana, and if there is another Indiana, it will have been done before. This was the first time that something like this had happened in forever. So I went with Fernando and Sig.
I like that. I think my answer also is Indiana related. It's less about Mendoza, but it's because I think of the quote of like it's basically just this kind of blind trust, like, hey, we need to go do this thing, and you can't ask me any questions about it. And it's like,
Yeah,
whose car are we taking? Let's go.
yeah,
Um,
hmm
all of the players that followed Sig from JMU to
mm,
Indiana, because I'm sure for
hmm
some of them it was their only Power Four opportunity, but I bet a lot of those kids, like especially the players that were more productive, like Elijah Surratt, like those kinds of guys, they probably could have gone elsewhere. And instead, they followed their coach to what was at that point in time the worst Power Four program by like a mile. Um,
yeah.
and it worked out.
Worse than Colorado. hmm
Worse than Colorado. Yes.
hmm Um, I like to have a good cry at the nail salon. Wow, this guy is a smooth operator or game that left you crying in the club award. I'll just go with like that scene to me. I think you can interpret it both ways. It just to me was like, wow, Ben Affleck is just such a cool dude. Like playing this insane situation super well. And I'm a sucker for this guy. Hand up, Brent Key at Georgia Tech. Like everything he does, I'm just like, this dude rocks. Like this guy's awesome. I would follow this guy anywhere. So I went with Brent Key.
Nice. I actually, another one that the Hokie fans are going to hate. I put Chandler Morris
hmm
because that dude was a smooth operator
He
on
was.
the field all season. Um, I mean, he really even the ACC championship game. Like you look at the reason that they lost, it was some questionable play calls and that type of
hmm
thing. Like Chandler Morris played his heart out. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think he's a smooth operator for sure.
Another great line. This is the not fucking around crew. I was unfamiliar with their game, and we all must act accordingly award. I have two. Go for it, Rob.
It's Miami again. I'm sounding like a broken record, but I mean, they do not fuck around.
Especially with the Darian Mensah acquisition.
Yes, absolutely. They are everyone thought
Um,
that next year was going to be a building year, and then they went out and got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So
I went with SMU since entering the ACC. They're 14-2 in 2 seasons. And by the way, that's after losing to Boston College in the Fenway Bowl. People forget about that. Like Boston College beat SMU, and then everyone's like, "Yeah, get ready to learn the ACC, Dallas." Nope, just come in and just nut drag everybody in the entire conference for 2
yep,
years in a
it's
row.
just a
Pretty
bunch of Dallas
unbelievable.
kids playing football at the end of December outdoors in Boston. That just wasn't the right fit for them.
And then the other one that I have, honestly, it's How I Feel. The Set in Stone 3 video came out. James Franklin being at Virginia Tech is really like it's more so like the inverse of this. It's like this was the fucking around crew, and now we're not
We are
fucking
the
around anymore. Like everything he does, the way that the athletics department has reacted to it, it it is. I'm trying to. It must. The only similarity in my life I can make is when we went from like standard definition televisions to HD television. It's like, oh wow, I don't have cataracts. This looks great. So that's kind of how I felt about this entire situation. And this is coming from a guy who, as soon as this was a possibility, I would have crawled on broken glass to make this a reality. And I know we haven't played a game yet. I get it. But the way it looks and the way it talks and walks and operates is the way I feel like it should have for a long time, and it finally is.
It's big time. That's what he said.
That's right. Um, Doug saying, I will never lie to you. I will never hurt you. And if I lose you, I will regret that for the rest of my life. Just wait for me.
I went for the two people who I feel like have, like, who I would expect one of them to say this to the other, and it's Brent Key and Haynes King. I don't know
Yeah.
which one's saying
Just
it
to
to
the
which,
end.
but those two are madly in love with each other.
If this movie was made, if they made like a really, really bad remake of this, would that be Dabo Sweeney and Cade Klubnik?
Yeah, it's like, honestly, yeah. Dude, Cade looks like Dabo. Have you ever? He
He does.
literally looks more like Dabo's kid than Dabo's
Then
kids.
Dabo's kid looks like Dabo. I completely agree.
It's crazy.
I went with Demond Williams in Washington. Even though Demond Williams tried to leave, like he didn't because he wasn't allowed to. So I kind of tied those two together.
I like that. No, that
Yeah.
adds more context to the quote of like,
Mhm.
hey, you want to leave, but you can't. So,
Yeah, you're not going to. So just wait for me. All
but I
right.
love you.
Another badass line. This movie's just so good. Doug telling the florist, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to kill both of you in your own shop.
Love that.
I got two. Number one, Diego Pavia to Virginia Tech in both games. I don't know if a single player has done more damage to Virginia Tech in two games of any sport than Diego Pavia did. And when I say kill both of you, he killed Virginia Tech's preposterous playoff hype in 2025, and he killed Brent Pry's head coaching tenure at Virginia Tech. He did that in back-to-back seasons in a conference that isn't even ours on national television. So, objectively crazy that he did that. And the second one that I'll go with is Stanford and Andrew Luck beating Cal at Stanford 31-10, where I'll kill both of you. They kind of killed two birds with one stone. You got Wilcox fired at Cal, and you also got the signature win for Stanford. Probably, like, I can't remember a win that I'm thinking about, maybe unless you want to include that Louisville win that they had at home. But I feel stronger about the Diego Pavia one than I do the Stanford and Andrew Luck one.
I like that. I'm giving it to Kurt Signetti, because I think that if there's anyone that just has the gall to be like, hey, I'm going to come kill you at your place, that's Sig, man. That's Sig. He answered every question, especially maybe you could tie it down to Sig to Dan Lanning specifically and being like, I'm going to come here, I'm going to come to Outson Stadium and I'm going to kick your ass. And that's exactly what he did.
And Fernando would bless the body for sure. So we'll add that.
Yeah, happy Mark Wahlberg 40-day challenge to Fernando Mendoza.
Yes, good call out. We also have, not the way I planned it, but for the first time in my life, I'm leaving this city. Maybe if I go, I can stop looking. Going out on a limb and doing your own thing award. What do you have?
I have JKS from Cal, because the move that he made to like basically transfer, like to enroll at Oregon and then transfer to Cal and then play as a true freshman and do all that, like that was a bold, risky move. You know, he had been recruited by Tosh Lapoy. Like there's the whole like, you know, island connection there. Like what program is more steady than Oregon right now? And all he would have had to do is redshirt and play behind Dante Moore. But oh gosh, sorry, just slapped my computer. He made a bold move and it really worked out for him.
I love that one. I went outside the ACC for this one. This is future casting for Kyle Whittingham at Michigan. Kyle Whittingham spends 22 years at Utah, and you're kind of like, man, he's going to retire. And obviously different situations, but this would kind of be like Mike Young going and coaching at, like, I don't know, Rutgers. Like, you kind of assumed that his career was going to end in one spot, and here he is. And again, I don't see Kyle Whittingham being at Michigan for like 2 years. I see Kyle Whittingham winning a lot at Michigan for, a good bit of time. So I'm very interested in his second act. It's gonna be fun to watch play out.
I like that. Can I do the quote for this one?
Please do.
Your daddy didn't have the heart to tell his son that he was looking for a suicide doper who was never coming home. There's a heaven, son. She ain't in it.
To rip my heart out and curb stomp me in the face. Why don't you award? Robert Irby, really well done.
Had the
I
Irish
have quite a
roots too.
few for this one. Do you have more than one?
I only have one, but because I think there's one that stands out. But you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go with Duke is losing Darian Mensah over money after winning the ACC and not going to the playoff. Like, that sucks, man.
Yeah.
It's such a bummer. You sign him to the multi-year deal. You feel really good about it. And you really didn't even get to bask in the ACC championship glory because, like, 2 weeks after it, it's not public information, but you're kind of, before this even broke, I was like, hey, Miami needs a quarterback. And the only quarterback that makes sense to go out and get is Darian Mensah. And if that's what they want to do, it will happen. Like, there's nothing that's going to stop that from happening. So as soon as like they ran out of quarterbacks, that was what they were going to do. That's who they wanted, and there was no stopping it.
Yeah. No, that's good. The one I had was UVA throwing a backwards pass in overtime of the ACC championship game. Like, to their fan base who has already seen them do something similar to lose a major game. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't imagine being a UVA fan after watching that play.
No, it's tough. It's tough. And it's spanning two different coaches is tough too. The other two that I have here is, just the entire Sharon Moore story breaking. Like, jeez. Talk about a guy who's just been through the ringer, a family who's been through the ringer. It's also weird that it like branches comedy and also like this is an awful thing that is playing out very, very publicly. So I went with that one. And then I also put Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin blowing up during the playoffs. Yeah. Like, you go in and you're like, man, playoffs, we're really sticking it to them. And you can say like, man, amazing what you were able to accomplish, but you're always like, it's not going to be the way that teams like that look back at things like that. It is such a crazy what if. It's not like a Virginia Tech what if where it's like, what if we didn't just play poorly in the fourth quarter of this game? Or what if we didn't fake the punt in the national championship? It's more so, what if half of our coaching staff was still coaching our team when we were competing for a national title, which is way more controllable than a single play call. So that's tough. It's tough.
That's brutal.
The gem. See my face? You tell the cops, all right? But just remember, I've seen yours too. Which is, man, that was kind of badass, but also really fucking
so
dumb to do that. Like, why would you do that? And mine is not even college football related. This has to be Lindsey Vonn at the Olympics.
No.
It has to be Lindsey Vonn at the Olympics. Skiing with multiple injuries in her knee. Again, I give her all the credit in the world for being able to make her own decision with, for lack of better terms, make her own decision with her own body. And she also ended up somewhat dead like Jem did at the end of the movie. So that's the first one that I went with was Lindsey Vonn at the Olympics.
Yeah, one leg is dead. I am going to give this one to Virginia Tech as well, particularly choosing to schedule 2 SEC teams to start your season.
Okay. Yeah, tough.
Woo. Man, that sounded badass on paper, but good God, what a horrible, horrible way to start a must-win season. A do-or-die season for Brent Pry. It's like, yeah, everyone else is playing, McNeese right now, and you've got to play South Carolina and Vanderbilt.
Well, it's actually
And we
probably a
would have
good
lost
thing we didn't play
McNeese,
it.
but
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. McNeese might have not been an auto W. The other two that I have here, one of them goes along with scheduling. It's tough scheduling in general. Notre Dame scheduling Miami and A&M as their first two games. Texas scheduling Ohio State week 1, and Michigan scheduling Oklahoma week 2. Like, we all say we want these games. We all say that we want to do badass stuff when we go and blast some dudes away for throwing bottles at Claire. But like those three teams missed the playoff because of those games. Like, there's no other way to put it. And then the other one I have is putting two G5 schools in the playoffs. Man, it's badass that we're giving them the chance, and then they get butt blasted by the teams that they ended up playing. So
yeah, I almost like that for the last one we did for the Fergie one as well. Like, if you were a fan of any G5 team, and then you're just watching your representatives get murdered,
skull dragged. Yeah,
and you know that the format is about to change, and you are never ever making the playoff.
Yeah. The There Goes College Soccer Award for most brutal injury.
After he shoots him in the kneecap, dude, that is an absurd quote.
Dude, it's an absurd quote. It's also even more absurd that there were no ramifications of them literally shooting literally Lindsey Vonnening dude in his own apartment and showing him his face, and there are zero repercussions. Kind of crazy. Lindsey Vonn getting a lot of love on this pod.
I just went with Bill.
I'm gonna go with Bill Belichick's legacy. This North Carolina thing is the reason he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
it's I don't know of anyone whose legacy took more of a hit than Bill Belichick's did for simply coaching football.
I went more literal and thought of an actual injury, and I'm going with Steve Angeli, the quarterback for Syracuse. We've talked about Syracuse a lot. He was their starting quarterback to start the season, the guy they brought over from Notre Dame, the guy that was playing quarterback when they, went, I wouldn't say toe-to-toe, but they were competitive with Tennessee. They beat Clemson on the road. And the minute it was either an ACL or an Achilles, but the minute he went down, like, the whole program just crumbled. And granted, like, you've got to have more options than that, but regardless, like, he was playing really well, and that season could have been a lot different for Syracuse.
Now that's how you drive a fucking car. Holy shit. That was fun, and college football is awesome award. I have two.
Okay.
For me, this was 90% of the Brent Key and Haynes King experience. I love them so much and everything that they did together. So let's put that one in a box. The second one is, look at this college football playoff. It was epic. Yeah. I complained a lot about the format, and I think it's fair to have the stance of some of these teams shouldn't be competing for titles. I hate that we move further and further away from regular season games not mattering as much. So I admit that the playoff can be awesome while also having problems with the way that the sport has shifted, right? But you look at this playoff, like round one, every game I'm about to mention was a phenomenal game. Alabama, Oklahoma was tremendous. Miami A&M was tremendous. Miami OSU in round two, Ole Miss and Georgia in round two. Ole Miss and Georgia, to me, might have been one of the games of the entire season. Round three, you had Miami and Ole Miss, and then the title game was great. So that's more than half. 6 of the 11 games, to me, were tremendous games. So yeah, big salute to the college football playoff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I had the Ole Miss Georgia game as well, because what an incredible game that was. It was just like you were I was just beaming the whole time, smiling ear to ear. Yeah, that's how you drive a fucking car. I'm gonna give it to, I think, and it's kind of funny, it's kind of the opposite, but Arch Manning and Bryce Underwood and these guys that did get massive paydays and maybe didn't quite live up to the billing. It's like, hey, you know what? You just finessed the system. You got yourself set for life. And granted, those guys have futures, but I mean, you can even trace it back to DJ Uiagalelei when NIL first became a thing. signing big deals with Dr. Pepper and Bojangles, and probably got a lot of money just to be terrible. So
That's a really good call out in a way that I wasn't looking at it. And another call out, I'm pretty proud of this award. We might have been pulling a little bit hard here. By the way, if you're listening and you have any submissions for any of these awards, please drop them in the replies. Also tell us if you love this. Because I am loving this, but maybe we're the only two people who think this is fun. But I could do this for a million movies. Doug's performative arrest at Charleston Sand and Gravel for performative nonsense award. I went with I love Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit has done so much for college football. I would love the opportunity to interview Kirk Herbstreit. I have had enough of the dog. Like,
Yes.
straight up, enough. That's what I'm at. It's too much.
We didn't care. We cared a lot about the old dog when it was like, hey, my dog is dying, so I'm just bringing him everywhere with me. We were like, great.
Yeah.
Let him live his life. Now you got some replacement dog. We don't care about this dog.
Yeah.
My actual dog is sitting right next to me, and he just gave me a look, but I care about you, man. I promise. It's that other dog that is just, it's like it's a phony. It's like, you're not even, it's like when they recast an actor in a movie or in a TV series. So yeah, that's good. I have James Franklin going on College Game Day after getting fired from Penn State, where that was such a moment where he's just like, hey world, look at me, I'm available. Oh, look at me. Oh, I'm putting my hands up, like it was.
I bought it.
Yeah.
I bought it. I bought it.
He's like, well, I thought we were going to win a national championship here, so we'll have to do it somewhere else. Like,
can't wait for him to do it.
Yeah, I hope he does it here. But it was so calculated. Crazy. Every bit of it was calculated.
College Game Day's done that twice. The funnier thing is that Freeman did it at the national championship with the team that he wanted to be in over playing in that national championship. So I think the Franklin one worked great. It was an amazing PSA. It's almost like paying for I have to imagine, I've never done it, so I don't want to say it's because I've never done it. But if you pay for Bumble Super Premium, that's kind of what it was like with Coach Franklin going on and basically saying that. Every fan base, or Hinge Ultra Premium, you just get your gets an auto flag or something. I don't know.
Right. Or just paying for stuff on OnlyFans or something.
Yeah. Yes, correct. The other one that I have here is performative nonsense. I want to pour one out for all of the players who were denied years of eligibility under the NCAA's old rules. Just for Virginia Tech, I want to think of Brock Hoffman missing a year of college football for a reason that would be insane to even explain to a current college athlete in 2026. Seth Allen, Zach Leday, Michael Brewer, all missing years of eligibility because they transferred in. Braxton Burmeister. Both guys who Gerard Evans lost a year because of his JUCO season. Like Cam Newton. Cam Newton could have spent 2 years at Auburn because of his time at, I think it was Blinn Academy or Blinn College. So how many awesome years and awesome players did we miss out on because players had to sit for absolute nonsense bullshit reasons? Also, you know what? When's the last time you heard about a player missing a game because of academic reasons? Either everybody got really smart or nobody gives a shit anymore.
Yeah.
And who knows which one it is. So,
or even Reggie Bush getting his Heisman taken away, right?
Oh man.
They finally gave it back to him, but terrible.
Another great line. You think you're better than people. I have quite a few here. I'll go first. We can go back and forth.
Yeah.
Honorable mention, probably most people's feelings towards Buzz Williams.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. I think Dabo Sweeney's stance on NIL. I know what his intentions are, but it comes across in a very holier than thou kind of way that I don't think people necessarily jive with.
Lane Kiffin, He's posting screenshots of the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins and other self-help books on Twitter, which is a pretty brutal look. It's not the Let Them Theory because you are welcoming everything. So it's not, he actually should write a book instead of the Let Them Theory. It should be the Give Them a Reason to Theory by Lane Kiffin. So I got Lane. Do you have another one?
Yeah, Nick Saban, when he had to go on, I guess it was the CFP, so one of those CFP selection shows or ranking shows or whatever, and it was like right after Alabama had just gotten like ass blasted by Georgia,
Yeah.
and it sounded like someone was like, it sounded like Miss Terry had like a gun pointed at his head and was like, "You better say something nice about Alabama," and like he didn't mean any of it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
The last one that I have is Notre Dame skipping a bowl, crying about the playoff rankings, and ultimately getting what they wanted as a guaranteed spot for being a top 12 seed. So,
yeah. I had one more as well. The Big
yeah.
Ten trying to get us to go to 24 teams in the playoff. Like, get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Stop it. Like,
I have
it's
that
good for the sport, more money, whatever. No, it's terrible. Just stop
I have that one a little bit later. I'm excited about
it. Good.
How come I'm always the one that's getting used? Award for person or team that just repeatedly takes it on the chin.
I'm a person.
I'm a person. I'll tell you what, the sexiest line that she delivers in the entire movie is that you gotta chase the rabbit to get the tail. Oh man, Blake. Good gracious, what a performance.
Yeah. Hop.
I got Duke. And I also stole their song here. It's Can't You Feel My Heart Beat Fast? This Just Won't Last. So Mike Elko wins at Duke, goes to A&M, playoff. Riley Leonard goes to Duke, goes to Notre Dame, playoff. Darian Mensah goes to Duke, is going to Miami. Is he going to go to the playoff? Yeah. So it seems like Duke's getting used a lot.
Mine is similar, but in a slightly different direction. I went with Manny Diaz specifically.
Ooh.
Because, like, if you trace this thing back, it's like, first, when he gets hired at Miami, he had already accepted the head coaching job at Temple. And it's like, was there no communication of the fact that Mark Richt was about to retire? Could this have not come to light before you had this guy go out on a limb and take this other job just to bring him back before he even coached a game? The fact that Miami kind of cut ties with him pretty quickly, especially after a COVID year, there was some weird stuff. I mean, I think you and I are both more Manny Diaz defenders than most, but
yes.
I know I definitely am, but I felt like Miami cut ties with him pretty quickly. And then as soon as they get rid of him, they bring in Cristobal, like just give Cristobal the world to work with, resources, the alumni thing, like it's all going. And then Diaz is at Duke and like, yeah, now Miami is taking his quarterback. Are you kidding me?
Dude, this is a great, I love, this is in my opinion, this is your best one so far. That is tremendous. I will go as far as to say that if we didn't, like James Franklin was far and away, when I heard that was an option, I was like, I'll do anything for that to happen. I would say Manny Diaz was probably like my second, if that wasn't going to happen, he was way up the list of like, if we have to get somebody else, I would be happy with the Manny Diaz.
Same.
I'm interested to see what his I'm interested to see what his next chapter looks like, because I think he gave it an amazing swing last year. And for him to still be at Duke, if he's looking at the chessboard, he's probably like, we're going to be pretty good next year. Darian Mensah is coming back, a lot to build on, a lot of development going on, and he loses his quarterback after the coaching carousel kind of stops. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of that kind of falls into place or doesn't fall into place.
And he loses his quarterback after the portal cycle has basically ended.
Yes.
He had to bring in some like 25-year-old dude from San Jose State. Like, they're toast next year.
I don't like the gods on the next thing. Knowing something is going to be tragic before it happens award. This one, I have two, and one is a tat tip to you. It's literally you about Bill Belichick. You screamed this all off season, and I didn't listen. I thought you were crazy, and you were right. And you deserve some props there. And the second one that I have is Gus Malzahn bowing out at Florida State ultra late and leaving Norvell kind of high and dry. I probably would have slashed his tires if I'm Norvell and he did that, unless he was asked to leave. It's kind of a bullshit move by him, but those are the two that I went with.
I have Virginia Tech removing James Madison from their schedule.
Good move.
I mean, I support the move because I'm really excited about the VMI history and lore that'll bring about. But at the same
Wait, I thought nobody was.
Oh,
I
well,
thought not one person.
No. I'm excited. I think that's a great first game. I'd rather play VMI week 1 than go to SMU or something. Anyway, I think that Tech knows also that like there's a decent chance they could lose that game if they don't. I mean, I don't think we would with James Franklin, but like it's kind of.
I was more so saying that in response to so many people saying that, like, man, I can't get up for week 1 or nobody's going to care about week 1. We could be playing anybody. It's James Franklin as Virginia Tech's head coach. Like, people will be at the game. It will be sold out. And hopefully, I don't want to make a baseball streaming joke. I'll hold on to it.
No.
Sorry.
Too soon.
Did you have another one?
No, that's what I got.
Okay. The next one is, the Lindas want you to open this door. Award.
I also Linda.
I didn't
really give you any guidance for this category.
No.
I just think it's really funny to imagine Stanford and Cal as the Lindas, because it's like they're not even there. Like, do they even exist? I don't know. They're just off somewhere else.
Does Doug actually have someone outside of my house?
Right. We have men outside your homes. No, you don't.
Yeah, no, you don't. Yeah, no, you don't. But I'm opening the door. I went in a different direction for this one. It's impending doom. Like, if you're in that, like, I better get this door open or I better get the hell out of here. It's Clemson versus UNC. Like, that line was like 10 before the game started. I was like, no, dude. Like, no matter how bad Clemson finishes this game, they are going to ass blast UNC. Like, it is going to be awful for UNC. The game was over in 60 seconds. Clemson came into the game 1-3. UNC was 2-2. And it was 7-0 in the first 11 seconds, and it was 14-3 in the first 6 minutes, and it was 35-3 at halftime.
Jesus.
And you know it's bad when before the game they're like, man, like, we got this Ludacris concert planned before the game because it's definitely going to be at night, so like that game's going to be awesome. And Ludacris concert was moved up to 9 a.m. because the game ended up being a nooner. So that's what I went with.
Okay, no, that's pretty good.
Cops turning the other cheek when face to face with the crew. Everybody knows this scene.
It's the best moment in the movie, in my opinion.
It's the best moment in the movie.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck actually mentioned that he had a conversation with a former criminal who said this was a real thing that happened. Who knows? But cool
just
lore
the
there.
Stare down. The cop is just like sitting by a construction site. He sees these 4 dudes dressed as nuns with AKs. There's like, it feels like 5 minutes where he's just sitting there thinking about what to do, and then he turns the other cheek. It's awesome.
What do you got?
I have, because you specifically said every man for his self. I've got, you mentioned this already, the Alliance and also the Magnificent Seven. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, man.
The 7 ACC schools that are like, we're out of here.
That's a good callback. I have 2. So one is the NCAA clearinghouse and the NCAA in the face of literally every lawyer in America. So,
that is a perfect answer, actually. That's really, really good.
So yeah, I basically have as much of a square as I think this guy is. It's basically the NCAA versus Darren Heitner or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah.
So I have that. And then I have the reverse of the cop, like the cop who will actually end up on the wall of the VFA is Dabo Sweeney calling out Ole Miss. Is basically the reverse of that.
He's
He
the
would be
cop
the
with the
cop.
combat boots that thinks he's
Correct.
What is this? He
Correct.
thinks he's a Marine or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So that would be the reverse situation.
Gets shot in the chest.
I'm so excited about this next one. This is Albert. I can take a pinch. Laying it down for the fellas. He was basically the one who kept fighting against the cops when Jem and Doug make their grand escape at the end of the movie.
They're not looking for cops.
They're not looking for cops. What do you got for this one?
I have Haynes King literally every week.
Good one, dude.
He is putting
NFL
his body
Haynes
on
King
the line.
or I'm sorry. I was thinking of Cam Ward. That's a good one.
Yeah. Haynes King is just absolutely getting murdered every week.
Mm-hmm. I love that one. All right, so the first one that I'll save the best one for last. I have UVA losing for the betterment of the ACC. So thank you, UVA, for taking a pinch. But here's my favorite one. Andy Bitter at the opening presser for James Franklin, setting the tone on how discourse will be handled in exchanging pleasantries at the pressers. For those of you that don't know, Andy Bitter, unfortunately, was the first casualty in the hello reporter war that has been going on at Virginia Tech.
Bitter from Tech Sideline.
Hey, Andy, how are you?
I'm curious in your conversation.
Hey, Andy, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, good to see you.
So shout out to Andy for taking a pinch and letting everybody know how we will engage with James Franklin at press conferences.
I got one more. That I just thought of. I'm gonna give it to Sharon Moore for quite literally taking a pinch so that Michigan can get Kyle Whittingham.
Dude, I was wondering how many Sharon Moore references we were gonna get on here. I think we're at like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think we should have done more.
This one was tough, but I was able to think of something. It's the opening credit that basically says, "I'm proud to be from Charlestown. It ruined my life, literally, but I'm proud." I'm going to go with my professional background in NIL. Working in it was ass. But it did set the stage for me in a bunch of ways professionally. I worked with some really smart and amazing people and also gave me a lot of knowledge on the industry. So I think that one, I had a hard time doing that because I think, what are we all going to say? We're Virginia Tech fans and it ruined my life, but I'm proud. Like, that's kind of a cop-out answer. So I went with that one.
Yeah, that would have been low-hanging fruit. That's a really good answer. Mm-hmm. Mine is Bill Belichick with Jordan Hudson. He loves her, but she's literally ruining his life.
Correct.
So
it's a good one.
Yeah.
Last two.
There he is,
Mr. 6 inches.
You're a fucking crime stopper. Figure it the fuck out.
The award for the most pleasantly average team. I have 3. The first one is Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Everyone makes fun of Wake Forest. They're the butt of the joke, but can we put some respect on them? Since 2015, they've literally won 53.3% of their games. It's bookended by a 3-win season in 2015 and a 9-win season this past year, and they played in an ACC championship. They've beaten some teams they have no business beating. They're ultra memeable. It's kind of hard to hate Wake Forest. Like, I don't know who fits this peg better than Wake.
No, I think that's good. I went with a similar answer. NC State. If we're looking at this year specifically, like NC State was just so mediocre this year.
Volatile.
Like, I don't think anyone had any high aspirations for them, but they didn't bottom out either. You know, it was a cool 8-5.
It's pretty crazy that in the same season they beat Virginia and lose to Virginia Tech. That's kind of wild.
I forgot we beat them, dude. That's crazy.
That's kind of wild that's how that worked out. I'll also say this. I almost mentioned this earlier in the show. I was going to say NC State is the sadder version of Wake Forest because they're actually way better than like a 6-6 team. If you go back and you look coming into last year, Dave Doran had the second highest winning percentage in the ACC since 2020, which is a wild stat. I don't know how it's adjusted to this year, but it does seem like the last run for him in Raleigh. I actually really like Dave Doran. I really do. But it seems like it's kind of coming to an end here. And this one is a little different. So Mr. 6 Inches, I tried really hard to make a dick joke about Greg Sankey, but he's by far and away like the best guy to run the SEC. Like he really is. And it's so hard to make a 6-inch dick joke about Greg Sankey when Tony Petitti is out here literally wagging around his 3-inch willy about this 24-team playoff thing. And I'm like, yo, like, you clearly are the one sitting to pee, Tony Petitti. So, like,
so is it Jim? Is it Jim Phillips?
I said Jim Phillips.
Because it's like, I mean, Jim Phillips, he's basically just inherited the disaster that he was given, and like he's done fine. I mean, not good. I don't think he's a disaster, but just holding it down nice and true, reliable,
That's a good one.
Not going to blow her away.
Okay.
This is our last
one. Rob, this was a blast. I just want to say it.
I agree.
We smoked it to the filter, right?
Oh, this scene from Blake. It's just such a crazy line. I actually forgot this line was in the movie until you put it in here. I think it's before like the brutal sex scene that she has with Ben Affleck, where then he's like staring out the window with his back tattoo. It's one of the weirder moments in the entire movie.
Right. She finishes and then just bolts.
Yes, it was a tough situation. I'll lean into college basketball first. Mick Cronin, anytime he has a microphone, I just think is honestly fantastic. I don't even know if I would call it like cringe. It's actually pretty awesome. And then I also went with Doug Gottlieb. I just think it's just so crazy that it's outrageous that he's coaching at Green Bay, and it's outrageous some of the stuff that he says sometimes. And he still does radio. Like it's hard to explain with how crazy college sports are now. Like 10 years ago, this would be the biggest story in sports. And now it's like not even the biggest story of the week that it happened.
Yeah. I have two specific sound bites for this. The first one is an older one. I think it was like 22, 23, something like that. When Dabo said that his players were made in God's name, image, and likeness.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Low key a bar, but also crazy.
Yes, dude. That is a good pull. That's a great pull, dude.
And then I had to end it with this guy, Pat Narduzzi, when he was asked about how he felt about is Notre Dame a must-win game. He said, and I quote, "It is not an ACC game. I would gladly get beat 103 or 110-10 in that game. They can put 100 up on us as long as we win the next two after that." Narrator, and they did not win the two after that. And they also got their asses whooped by Notre Dame.
Correct. The two that I had for college football this past year was Kirby Smart saying that nobody believed in us after they beat, I think, Alabama. Just a crazy quote to come from Kirby Smart, multiple time national champion Kirby Smart. And then honestly, like the craziest bar of the entire year, I look forward to the Oregon like post-game videos that come out, and they were playing USC, and Dan Lanning said they're fighting for clicks and we're fighting for wins. I mean, man, Dan Lanning is honestly the best version of Krista or whoever. Like, super good looking, but also would marry and insane. So it seems like he has a controlled coke problem. So
is it a problem if it's controlled? I don't know. Maybe he just likes coke and Xbox. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like being prescribed Adderall, I guess. Just legal crack. Anyway, what a pod.
This
truly.
podcast was brought to you by Coke and Xbox.
I can't say enough positive things about this movie. I have to imagine nobody's listening. There's got to be somebody listening who listened to this podcast and raw dogged it without seeing the movie. Go back and watch it. It's such a good movie. I'm planning to rewatch it this weekend. Rob, any final thoughts? Do you think we ever do get the town too?
What's it about? That's my thing. You know,
What's it about?
Dougie's out in Florida out there in the Everglades. Everybody else is dead. Like, you know, what are we doing?
Well, you could have like a Doug returns home when his dad gets out of prison situation.
So I think his dad died. Because
did he not? His dad died in prison after he visited him?
Yes. So like sorry, I'm hashing the movie, but like,
yeah,
he mentions that like when he's visiting him that like, oh, he's getting in fights with all these gangs or whatever. And then when Doug gets arrested and it's the other FBI agent, the one that he grew up with, he said like, I heard they got to your dad. And and I don't know if that was intimidation or if it was like, no, he was messing around with these dudes and then they killed him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look into it. I do just think like the movie's so good and this type of movie has been made so many times. I almost just want 2 more hours with this cast and these characters. That's the problem. Yeah. But that usually means the best case scenario is to just leave it as is. So, Robert Irby, always a pleasure. Please drop in the comments if this was fun. I haven't had this much fun in a podcast in a long time. Let us know other movies and other motifs that we should be connecting it to. This is going to be a dedicated, at least once a year podcast at the end of college football seasons. I think we can go ahead and make that ruling. So, with that, Robert Irby, have a great rest of your afternoon. 75 degrees in Charlotte Friday at 4 o'clock. It's going to be pretty nice.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. About to go play outside with my kid so hard. It's going to be awesome.
Dude, I'll talk to you later. From both Mr. 6 Inches themselves. You all have a great rest of your afternoon.